Hey all, welcome back. This is Dino the Ops Guy. This is Production Management and Practice, or Stardew Production Management 101. Now I say Stardew Production Management 101, but really at about this episode 64 we crossed the 30-hour mark, so it probably should be a higher class, like Stardew Production Management 201. That's maybe the way I should be going, but the sign still says 101. Okay, so I was looking at one of the old episodes with a friend of mine, and it's boring. So I got to do something about this. So normally, I don't this piece of it, the Dino the Ops Guy piece. I was doing a great job, but I'm finding that I'm doing this at the pace that I would do a regular course, which is fine. Except when I'm doing a regular course, I have students in front of me, and I can gauge: are they getting it? Should I slow down? Should I speed up? The camera isn't giving me any feedback at all. So I think I got to step up the pace a bit. Otherwise, I'm going to have people falling asleep the whole time, and that's not good for anybody. So, okay, this is a course in production management, and we start off in Stardew Valley as a factory and basically get our learning points from that. And one thing we haven't really talked about, we introduced it, but we really didn't talk about it, was the notion of the data requirement. I talked about how I need for this situation, I need the ledger. So the idea being there's some information I need that is not available through the normal system. Stardew Valley will give me how much I've earned, but not necessarily how much I've added value in any particular transaction. So I needed to create those transactions. And the question really should start with, and we couldn't answer the question in the beginning. Um, what are we trying to do? What information are we trying to get in any situation, not just Stardew Valley? And really, the questions that we're trying to answer are: what resources went into any of the processes where we made money? How long did it take? And what was gained? And the ledger does a good job of capturing that. The other thing that we'd really like to capture is the variability around that, because if it's the same, same resources went in every time, and the same amount of time that it took, and the amount that was gained was the same all the time. That's different than we're all over the map. Sometimes we need two, sometimes we need 20. It doesn't really work all that well. So getting into, like, let's say the seed maker, sometimes I put a seed in, a plant in, and I get one out. Sometimes I get three out. Sometimes I don't get any, and I get like a mixed seed of something else, right? So um, those four things are very important. What resources went into the process? How long did it take? And what was gained from the process, and the variability around those. So the ledger is meant to capture that. That's why I started the ledger early. And sorry, I didn't articulate at the time, but it's hard to know when you're getting in sort of the examples you can give for why things happen. So functionally, we should also know where things are, or at least where things are in stages. So in the ledger, I'd actually keep track of which jars are you, not necessarily one jar by jar, but I have one apple jar that's being processed, two peach jars that are being processed, and four chanterelle jars, those types of things. That's kind of important. And then even the plot that I use, a plot map for what's in the ground, because those are a longer cycle and more important to keep track of. So that is the sort of the information that we're looking for, whatever situation you're in. In Stardew Valley, I find that the ledger that I've used and the plot that I've used are very effective. And even the ledger over time, I'm finding there's some things that I was keeping track of I don't need to keep track of anymore. So, for example, I used to keep pine cones and maple seeds and acorns, and now I just know I have more than 100 of them, and I don't have to track every time I pick one up or drop one off or whatever the case. So we're getting better at that. So, but I also talked about how there are different factories, and even the different factories require different data. And I don't just mean different factories that they exist, but in some cases, there's different factories in a factory. And in Stardew Valley, for example, we have different types of factories. For example, there's a type of factory that does project work in Stardew Valley. And that's really when we want to build a barn. We go and find some stone, we go and find some wood, and we're trying to get some money. And we're trying to time it so that we can find Robin at the right time. And it all kind of works that way. And from that standpoint, I don't know how long it's going to take. There's no pro forma time because there's so much variability around how long did it take to get stones? How many stones do we already have? Where are we going to get our wood? Those types of things. How much money do we have? How quickly are we acquiring money? That sort of thing. A lot of variability, and mostly just, if you're saying what's the most important thing to get these projects done, just management attention. If I'm harping on it and if I'm making it a special project, then it tends to happen faster, but that's really only the only lever I have to play, or just have if I keep putting it in the objectives, maybe he'll keep a better eye on it. But from a standard, how does project work get executed? Management attention is what happens. A different type of factory is job shop. When we talked about the process matrix, these kind of came out without really a lot of definition what they are. A job shop is a lot like what we have for quests. Every once in a while, we'll get a quest and we'll go run and get something, or we'll process something, or we'll add something, or whatever the case. And really, the whole idea of profitability in the case of quests or in the case of a job shop is triaging which one's going to give us the most money. We might as well start it now. And which one are we going to lose money on? Let's just tell the customer we're going to pass on this one unless it's really strategic, that sort of thing. So a lot of the profitability comes from our ability to assess what's the best approach here and should we even approach it at all, right? So some resources can be stored ahead. So if we know, flowers tend to be as part of the quest, so we're going to store some flowers, that sort of thing. Success often is a function of the skill of a single operator. So in the real world, you'll see like a master tool maker, master die maker kind of thing, because their skill is actually what sets everything in motion when you're in a tool and die shop kind of thing. So anytime you have a job shop situation, the artisan skill or the skill of the person who's pushing it through usually is the main driver of success. The another type of factory we can look up is sort of this batch process factory. So an example of batch processing in Stardew Valley is when we're planting crops. So there's a lot of coordination. Large quantities of resources are important in early on to the success of the project. We also tend to get a lot of dead time. So we start the project and there's a whole bunch of activity, and then there's often a lull, and then there's a whole bunch of activity and we get some money out of it, but it's not steady. It's one of those things that there's typically a lot of waiting, a lot of that dead time. And a lot of the success comes from our ability to separate specialization so that people who are really good at, let's say, if we're getting a tool and die maker, people are good at a mill, they are the mill operators and they're going to specialize just on mills. Someone who's on a lathe or someone who's on a hand tool has a different specialty. And that sort of division of labor specialization becomes a big part of success when it comes to batch processing. And that sort of facilitates some sort of functional arrangement, right? So a different type of factory would be line flow, and we're starting to do that. We're going to do more of that. But the apple tree next to the jars, preserves jars, is kind of that cell is kind of what we're looking at when we start getting into line flow. From there's a dedicated layout that minimizes handling and travel. There's specific asset allocations. So those three preserve jars are just for that. We can use it at any point for something else, but as long as it stays just for that, everything seems to flow a lot better. So we are going to dedicate the use of those, and specialization by task rather than equipment. So it's not like you're a mill operator because you're really good with the mill, or you're a lathe operator because you're really good with the lathe. Now it becomes I'm really good at picking apples, not necessarily any one tree, right? Or I'm good with the jars, even though I have three different jar machines. So it becomes more task specific than equipment specific. And sort of the last one in the typical canon is a continuous flow. There's no real examples right now in Stardew Valley that we have. But essentially, when it comes down to scheduling continuous flows, it's this is when we're going to start and this is when we're going to stop, and everything just sort of works along the way. Inputs that we have are typically held in large supply and are typically measured in runtime. So we have 6 hours of flour, or we have 4 hours of hops, or whatever the case. So Operators are often replaced by automation. People think this is a bad thing because it loses jobs. Those jobs are not fun jobs necessarily. They're very repetitive. In a lot of cases, you can sort of put people in if there's an ability to add value. But if it's just a flow and there's no decision making, people don't want to do that. Give people good jobs where decision making happens. And if you can introduce value added decision making in the process, then absolutely load it up with people. But typically once you get to continuous flow, there's a lot less decision making. It's just let it go through, just let it squirt out, right? And data, the capture of it tends to be very, very centralized. It tends, if you go into, let's say, an oil factory or any sort of process plant, typically there's a whole bunch of screens on the wall where there's like the captain's desk, and you can see all the information from one spot because you're trying to manage the whole thing. So each of these are different factories in their own right. And apologies for not making that clear earlier, because we did talk about the product process matrix where we sort of jumped into this. And earlier I talked about Focus Factory, how we have different factories within Stardew Valley. And I'm hoping this gives you a little more insight into what we're talking about, and sort of why that matters. So we're going to move to Av. There's Av's picture in the top right there. Today is day 69. Av, I need you to water and harvest the crops, etc. Pet the animals. And if you have free time, forage, mine. You may want to get to Skull Caverns, whatever the case. But Av, I'm going to turn it over to you. Okay, thanks, Dino. It looks like tomorrow the weather's going to be cloudy with gusts of wind, and today the fortune spirits are very displeased. That doesn't usually work in our favor. Let's put this house plant, in some spot. Doesn't really matter where. Once our house gets bigger, we can start organizing. Robin sent us some wood. That's nice of her. Looks like our fairy roses are in full bloom. That's good. So we're going to get the blueberries now. We always get down to the hydrator room, forget what we want to put in it, and have to come back for next trip. So let's try anticipating this time. Say hi to Meow. Meow. And cleaning up some of the area by getting rid of some of the seeds. We got an orange and a spice bird. We will reload the dehydrator. And we will get some of our fairy rose, get some of our cranberry. We probably could have put some of the cranberry in the dehydrator, but that's okay. We'll get that next round. So we do have to decouple them because you need groups of 5, and you don't normally get groups of 5 out of the harvest. So manage that. It is an odd day, so we have even goats. We don't have to milk the goats. And we found a truffle. That's cool. We can put that truffle in the oil maker because truffle oil is a really good return. So let's go in and see the ladies, including Robin. Now, Robin's just doing the deluxe coop. Once that's done, we don't have to fill the feed trough. But for now, this is probably the last time we do. So, now I'm thinking maybe we should get some extra hay in case winter we run out. And it won't let us. Okay, this is one of the things of Stardew Valley, that if you don't have a spot for the hay, it won't give you the hay out of the trough. So we'll just have to be diligent in cutting the grass when we need to cut it. So, okay, the watering is so much. We got a clean bill of health for all the pets. Watering is so much easier now that we have an iron watering can, and we've laid out our crops so that they're in a format that are easy to water. So that works out much, much better than the beginning. Oh, there's an eggplant there. I wonder if that's been there for a little while, because that's kind of in the shadow. Visibility kind of works against you, not just in Stardew Valley, but in operations as well. It's good to keep things visible. That's a big part of Visual Factory. So we're going to put that one golden fairy rose for the Grange exhibit, and the rest we're going to make it part of the move. We're going to move the flowers from the mineral chest to the new flower chest, and we're going to facilitate that now. And we do want to sell some of our fairy rose. We'll keep those 2 gold. That's nice, and we will make our way. I just heard Oink digging up a new truffle. We're not going to chase that, but kind of funny when you hear that. So we're going to take all but 2 red and half of the brown and get rid of. We don't really need a lot of brown, or we hardly need any red at all. I don't know why, other than a quest maybe. I don't know if we've had a quest that way, but we'll put that truffle away. That was the one that Oink was working on. So in this point, one of the best things to plant is broccoli because it's got regrowth. So we got 2 broccoli. We can put that next to the sprinkler towards the flower chest. That's a good use of broccoli seeds. And we put another broccoli in the seed maker so that we could get more broccoli seeds. There's 3 more spots we have to fill. Oh, there we go. 3 exactly. So that's going to work out well. We can get the peach into the jar and recover the, I think it's chanterelle. We have to water these. Now that the sprinkler's gone, we have to be a little more diligent in getting them because it's not completely obvious there. You can't see the obvious change in color. But let's head to Pierre's because we can cash out a lot of the stuff that we've harvested. We can say hi to the kitties and to Penny. That's nice. Dad's coming back soon. I hope he brings a toy me. Oh, I shouldn't do that in public. That was rude. Okay, so we don't normally hit the calendar, but it's actually Abigail's birthday. So Gus wants some corn. The nice thing about Gus is that he's open late, so we can do it before bed. But he closes the doors at midnight, which doesn't sound late, but if we're going to Skull Caverns, it's going to be late. We're going to save that fair rose just for Abigail. I don't know if she likes them, but flowers are typically a positive, more of a likable thing. So just a general, if you're generally giving someone a gift, flowers are usually a good way to go. So, all right, let's head back, and we're gonna get a corn for Gus. Like I said, we're not. Normally, it's a lot easier to give Gus presents just because he's open so late. But if we're in the Skull Cavern right till midnight, we lose our opportunity. So might as well take it now. We have it now. So we will go and say hi to Gus during regular business hours, even early. We got a prize ticket. That's awesome. So prize tickets. Good thing we did this now because you can't exit. You get your prize tickets. You can't cash them in after 10 p.m. because you can't get in that door. So this works out well. And we got Friendship 101. So this is good. We can execute this, and somehow it gives us a new power where we make friends faster or easier, or whatever the case. So we're gonna say hi to Granny. And we're going to say hi to the 2 ladies, Caroline and Jody, just because we can. And we got this new secret power. So that's awesome. So the power of friendship. Let's, I see this wild plum, but let's head off to the Skull Caverns and get some good time in the Skull Caverns. Wow. Abigail just disappears. She's magic that way. That's awesome. So one of the things we're going to do in the desert is actually um, buy the seeds because you can only buy starfruit seeds here. They're very expensive, 400. We're going to get 24 of them because that works out to a 5x5 less the sprinkler. And we have 4 of the 4 iridium ore. Once we get the 5th one, we can smelt that for an iridium bar, which we can use. Oh, there's a shimmer. We can use the iridium bar for a deluxe quality Mac Daddy sprinkler. I don't know what they call it. The biggest sprinkler. I don't know, maybe there's one bigger. The biggest I've seen. Where it'll do basically 24 on 5x5 patch with it being in the middle of the 5x5. So once we get that in the greenhouse, we can plant oh, right away we're seeing trouble. We can plant the starfruit seeds, and we can put those in kegs, and that's one of the best returns we can get. Let's stay away from this blue slime guy while we have to deal with the. Oh, we got him. Have to deal with the serpent, but we got it all taken care of. Try not to get in the way of the unbreakable flying things. Get some diamond, get some gold. This is the dream, right? Getting diamond and gold in a mine. A little more gold. We will. Oh, there's a red mushroom, but as well there's a frozen tear and another serpent who wants to hide on us. Trying to sneak up on us. Did you see that? That's crazy. Okay, let's get some more stone, because eventually we're going to have to redo our house. I think one of the house levels requires stone. I don't actually remember now. But, okay. So this is one of those snaky levels that I like to get every rock so that we don't leave any behind, so we don't have to backtrack at all. So it's, sort of all in one coil direction. But hopefully as soon as we find a ladder, we can, oh, and of course there's the serpent. As soon as we find a ladder, we can go down. We don't have to go back to the beginning. It's kind of nice that way. So, looking for a ladder, and if we have to deal with that slime, we will. We're in a good situation to do so because walls are so. Oh, we even get a ladder out of it. Walls are so prevalent. So here we could take that. That wasn't so bad. Normally when I'm trapped by stones, it's a bit more difficult. I've had a lot of trouble with it before. Again, let's take care of the serpent first and not involve the slime at the same time because they have different attacks and they kind of mess you up with the different attacks. Okay, some more food. At this point, it seems like the field stack is food because we have just so many of the Oh, here's a situation where we have a ladder there we can bail into. So let's take out as many serpents as we can until it gets a bit dicey, and then we can bail if we need. This is dicey. Let's get out of here. There's more coming. We're in the orange. We better eat something. Okay. Back up in the yellow-green category for health. Just looking for another ladder. Our luck is low today, so our ladder discovery is not expected to be all that good. So in this case, I see that slime. Let's work the other way around it, so we don't have to cut through the stones and be surprised by it. We'll work our way down. Actually, let's take a different direction. For no particular reason, really. Just from the standpoint, there seem to be more rocks this way. So we can hopefully get more rocks. You don't get, it's not one to one. It's not like every time you chip on a rock, you're going to get a stone. But the odds are better the more stones you, or more rocks you get into. So that's kind of the thinking. If we could see a ladder, there we go. Oh, we got a carbon ghost. I think they call these carbon ghosts. We got two of them. Oh, and we can't find our sword. Finger work is important. Let's get these guys now that we have our sword intact. Not too concerned it's going to be dangerous just because they're pretty predictable. But we do want to load up our food again. I see a fire quartz we can get to. I'd rather get a ladder. But when, you can't always get what you want, I think Mick once said. So let's make our way up to the, well, first things first, stay alive. Get the serpent. Oh, we got even another spicy eel from that. That's good. Okay, it's almost 12 o'clock. I don't want to stretch things too much. Again, our odds of getting holes and ladders is not that good. So we're going to leave behind the bomb. We're going to leave behind the coffee. Okay, let's head back. It's weird without the light ring because things aren't lit up around us anymore. But it's better to have that immunity ring. That's the better one to have. So now looking back, we could have left the spicy eel back at the other chest, but oh well, c'est la vie. But we do have 5 iridium ore, so we are going to put that in to get 1 iridium bar so that we can make a sprinkler, so that we can plant the star fruit in the greenhouse, and it'll all work out, and it'll be good. Didn't mean to go in. That's okay. Let's load up a cup of milk here for the cheese press, and get the truffle ready for the oil maker. We don't need that. So we have a few things we can drop off. The diamonds, you know what? Some of these might as well just want to ship, like put in the shipper and sell. I do want to store the cactus fruit and the coconuts in the greenhouse, and that's more just out of habit. I could probably store them in a better place. I would love to store them actually at the Skull Cavern chest, but then I don't have easy access to them. I actually have to pay my money and get the timing right so the Pam can get us there on time. But that isn't the easiest thing to do all the time. So let's cash stuff out, including that palm fossil that we got. We don't need that. Diamonds, mayonnaise. We might as well clean out the pots, the crab pots. I have a little bit of time left, not a lot. We're just going to put the driftwood in, sell the rest, or ship the rest, I guess, tonight, and prepare for morning. That's what we're going to do. 5,000, that's pretty good. And then we had some stuff at Pierre's, so the money we're making is going up. Weather report is going to be clear, and the fortune teller spirits are somewhat mildly perturbed. That's all I got, Dino. All right, thanks, Av. Well done. So we did get the water and harvesting done. We found a couple of truffles. One that was probably there from before. We pet the animals and did the animal products, and we got to Skull Cavern, got a fair bit. But hopefully that gives you a feel for what's going on. We're going to continue this in episode 70. Would love to see you in episode 70. If there's anything we can do to make things better, certainly, like I said, I'm glad I looked at one of the videos, and it wasn't like on my computer is different than when I look at a TV screen or something else. So it's good that I did that. But I'm finding maybe there's a better way I can approach some of this. So I'm trying to make it better. If you have any suggestions, throw those in the comments. Other than that, this is Dino the Ops Guy signing off.